Yeah. Awesome. Now let me ask you a question. The last song you just played, that, my perception is that may have been one of the most complex pieces you ever wrote, right?
That's the one that I rarely try to play that before noon. I rarely would
but you just did it left-handed.
Right.
But you wrote it as a right-hander.
Oh yes, yeah, I played both of those pieces. I have played thousands of times as a right-handed guitarist. And it's been great to write new pieces where I'm not having to undo all of that programming. We get programmed to do things a certain way. And part of what this process has been for me is figuring out how to do things a new way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you didn't have your choice.
No, I sure didn't.
So we get to the mid-90s in your career, and I think we showed this on the video that we showed that you had just signed your record contract, you had just done your first album, you had just gone back in, and your first album did what, success-wise?
Finger Dance was reached #7 on the Billboard chart, so that's pretty darn good.
Awesome album. I've got that album. It's an awesome album. And then you went in to do your second album, and then what happened?
Well, I was very busy on the road. I was in recording the new record. I mean, I was at the height. I had everything that I really wanted. So everything was going great, and I had written a whole bunch of new, very complex pieces. And then I started having problems. And when you have problems as a solo guitarist, if you play a wrong note on stage, everyone knows who played it. You know, you're a solo guitarist. You're all by yourself. Yeah. And so as I got ready to get back out on tour to support the second record, boy, I was just having such a hard time with this hand. And here I am, nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide up here. And I was having trouble. And it didn't get better. It was progressively getting worse. And I couldn't really explain why my hand was feeling completely out of balance. And the first thing I did was I asked my friends, you know, we all go to our friends when we're having trouble, and my musician friend said, well, you know, you play too much. Take a break. 200 shows a year is too many shows. Take a break. And so I did. I took a couple of months off. And when I came back to play, the symptoms were even worse. And the rest didn't help. And then I went into a thing where I played and drilled and did all these exercises, and that didn't help. And I went to a hand specialist thinking, okay, it's got to be carpal tunnel. That's something we've all heard of, and there's treatments for it, and you can get surgery and they'll fix it.
Yeah, dude, I had it, and a cortisone shot fixes it.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted to get fixed. I heard you say, you know, you went and you said, fix me now. And I went and they x-rayed everything, and they said, Billy, there's nothing wrong with your hand. But I knew there was something wrong with my hand. And if there's nothing wrong here, and he looks at me and he goes, maybe you're having a psychological problem, you're going through tough times in your life, maybe this is all psychological. Well, I'm going to start doing massage therapy and rolfing and acupuncture, you know, having all the needles all over. I thought that was pretty cool, actually, being covered in needles. And I tried everything, qigong and meditation. And 2 years went by trying all these different therapies, and all the while this is getting worse. And I'm starting to cancel performances. And if I did do a performance, I wouldn't play that last piece, no waves. I was literally editing. I'm starting to edit myself and finding myself as an artist continually trying to hide a problem that I didn't understand. I literally thought I was going crazy. And finally, I thought, oh my God, it's getting so bad. There's got to be like a tennis ball sized tumor in my head. Let's go find it. So I went to a neurologist, thinking that I was going to get that news. And she looked at me and she diagnosed me in 5 seconds. Wow. She said, I know exactly what you have. You have it's a poorly recognized, not very well known, but highly prevalent disorder called dystonia. I thought dystonia sounds like a country in Eastern Europe, man. But I was relieved to have somebody tell me I did have something. Because here I thought there was, you know, I was going crazy. So it was a relief. But at the same time, she finished off the sentence saying, it's incurable, and it's gonna get worse, and you really better think about what you wanna do with your life. And I walked out of that office, and you know what I did? I went right into denial.
Sure.
I went home and I said, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm gonna practice more, I'm gonna play more, I'm gonna do what I've been doing, and just try to work my way out of it.
Yeah. It didn't happen.
No, she was right. The symptoms got worse and worse, and one day I remember just looking at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what, I'm a broken down guitar player. That's what I am. And
What you did?
I got real with myself. I had to get real with myself. I had to accept. I went to the Mayo Clinic, actually. I needed a little more reassurance that I had gotten a second opinion. And they gave me the same diagnosis. They said, that's what it is. And finally it sank in, and I realized I'm going to have to just accept that that's really what's going on. I have to get real about my situation. And you know, something about the glass just now just really hit home with me, because I thought I was done at that moment.
Sure.
And I spent a long time, I spent a couple of years thinking I was done. And when you're done, you also have an opportunity to start over. And it took me a couple of years. I'm ashamed actually to say how long it took me to realize that the end of everything for me, if I'd just gotten a hold of this concept quicker, it would have been, boy, this is the end, but it could be the start. I can start over with something. And what I decided was to start over as a left-handed guitar player, get my music.
Well, that's an amazing decision. Well, it also in line with the fact, I think you shared with me that the doctors told you something about.
I start the process of relearning. It's a lot of work. You sound terrible. Nobody sounds good when they first start an instrument. That's kind of a neat thing in a way, that we all start at this place where we don't sound very good, but it's hard to go back to that place when you've been kind of at the top of your game. But I battled through it, and then I got the news from the doctors that they said, Billy, we should have told you this right away, but you're at like a 50% higher risk that you're going to develop this in your other hand since you've had it once. So, if you do get your career back, don't wait. If there's something you wanted to do with your music, you better do it now. And that has really stuck with me every day that I have. You know, I feel pretty good right now, and I'm going to really, really appreciate that fact and love the fact that I'm back doing what I love to do.
Well,